close video. This one is looking at a brand new release from Tonic, which is a collection of stamps, which I think they're marketing as bullet journaling stamps. So like they're all for how to lay out a kind of planner system for planning what you do within your days or things that you keep track of. And there's also a couple of sets that are just full of doodled designs, so you can make your pages really pretty without having to have doodled things yourself. You can just stamp the images. I haven't actually filmed any of the things that I've made for this video, but I wanted to do this up close video. I haven't got them in their real packaging, so I'm sure they'll have a piece of card behind them with their proper names on, but I wanted to show you all of the different things that you can do with them. I've never done bullet journaling before, but I've created a bullet journal. I've also done some samples showing you how you could just stamp these into your actual planner or diary. If you already have a system that you like using, you can use these to make them look pretty as well. I've also got a sample of how you can stamp them onto post-it notes or stickers to create easy elements to put into just a normal diary, onto your like wall calendar or in your bullet journals. And then I've also got some samples showing you how brilliant these are for art journaling and just your general card making anyway. I'm not sure how the bundle will be on Create and Craft, whether you can get them individually or whether it's all together, but if you are just looking for card making and art journaling, these two sets are absolutely perfect. You can see I have pretty much used every single stamp out of these sets. I think maybe bar this one flower, that little squiggly bit, and maybe a couple of tiny little words off of this set, but everything else I have used and thoroughly loved using as well, because the style of these flowers is actually really similar to how I would doodle, which is really nice, like especially with these little swirly fronds on that plant as well. I love this one too, it's really gorgeous. But yeah, there's loads of different images within these sets, little roses, tons of different hearts, different flowers, different bits of foliage to go with the flowers. You've got the whole set of numbers for the entire month as well, up to 31. You've got a little rectangle that the numbers all fit perfectly in. You've got circles, so you can circle a date to make sure you like remember it, and you've got little must remember and the big day that can go around that circle to make you know even more what you were trying to highlight it for. You've got these two which can also highlight dates. You've got solid versions of the outline versions of things. This one's really cute, and you've got a little arrow which is always useful. And in the bullet journal example that I've done, I've tried to use these to sort of show how you can make a little key so you know what task is to do, task that's half done, completely finished, all that kind of stuff. And then in the biggest set you've got these gorgeous blocks which are perfect for any diaries that you have, you know, to really make that be known. Like say there's a specific task, or say you're planning a party or something and you want to stamp these on all the days where you need to do stuff like to go towards that end result of a party. Or maybe you like to split up your work and your creative things that you like to do. You could have one block, maybe this is for the cards you need to make in that week or something. There's loads of different ways to use these sets, and I love that you get a mixture on all the sets of like useful things and also pretty things as well. So on one of the journal pages I've done, I've used that arrow as a sort of pretty element in the background, creating a sort of circular element. This one is one of my favourites, and on one of my journal pages I've turned it that way and used it as the O in a word, because it kind of looks like Tonic's bubbles off of their logo, and I've actually used it in the word Tonic because I sort of made a punny sentiment or quote on one of my journal pages. Yeah, they're just really gorgeous sets of stamps. I've really loved using these, and I'm sure I'm going to be grabbing these for doing backgrounds on my cards, for having focal elements a lot of the time as well. And obviously you can colour them with whatever you want. I've been using a lot of the Nuvo alcohol pens and the glitter markers, and obviously the Nuvo ink pads as well, but also Aquaflows work perfectly with them. You know, you can do heat embossing. I haven't actually done any heat embossing, but you could easily do heat embossing with them as well. So loads of different things that you can do with them, and I will get on to showing you all of the bits and pieces that I've created using them as well. So the first main sample that I did is my attempt at a bullet journal. I know this is probably not the right kind of book for proper bullet journaling, because I'm sure you're supposed to use squared paper or dotted paper, and this is just a lined exercise book that I got in Tesco's, but it came in a pack of 2, and obviously I need 2 to be able to do one as the prep for the show. But I've just sort of done my version of what I think bullet journaling is, and I actually was watching a few videos on YouTube to see how people laid out their bullet journals, and I got a couple of the page ideas from that as well. I wanted things that obviously would work nicely to show you how you can use the gorgeous flower stamps and everything as well. So obviously I've decorated the cover, which is obviously optional. You might want to stick with a plain cover, but I've just written Bullet Journal 2019 and sort of added some glitter markers to sort of highlight that box area. I've used the flowers, and I actually stamped in brown for the cover, and then I've coloured in with alcohol markers. And I've also on some of the hearts I've also added a little bit of the Nouveau Crystal Glaze, and in the background little dots as well, just to add something extra. And I splashed on some Nouveau Glitter Marker too. All you do is scribble a little bit out on your glass mat, spray a bit of water on it, pick it up with a paintbrush and flick it all over it to get a gorgeous sparkly finish as well. So that's just the cover. And obviously I used one of the little, I think the only sort of reasonable sized wordy one is Make It Happen, which is a really nice quote actually. I've used it on a card that I've done. So inside it, I wanted to start off with, I've seen a lot of people, they start off with a key for their journal, so I decided to do one of these. And again, I've used the flower stamps to create a sort of pretty element to show how you could just decorate any planner that you already use as well. You don't have to have started a notebook or a bullet journal from scratch to use them. You can still just decorate whatever you like to use to do your planning, or just a notebook that you like using, or just a card as well. So and I just use one of the little tiny hearts that come in this set. You have a gorgeous little tiny heart in there. I use that one a lot, just to create, so you've got like a task to do would just be any coloured in heart with a pretty colour. Then if it's half finished, you fill half of it in black. If it's completely finished, you scribble the whole thing in black. If you've had to move it, say a deadline's changed, you stamp that little arrow through it. If something's been cancelled and there's no longer a need to do it, I've just stamped one of the roses over it actually. I did colour it in black as well, and stamped one of the roses over the top of it, because it kind of looks like it's been scribbled out then. And also, like for me, I often have a lot of deadlines for magazines and for like design team stuff, so I thought I'd do a little box, and if the box has got a date in it, then that's a deadline for that task as well. So I mean, there's loads of things you could put in here depending how you plan and stuff. I kind of did things that would probably apply if I was using this as a planner. Then it does bleed through because I've used alcohol markers to colour this, but I actually quite like the look of it on the back of it bleeding through. But obviously it depends on what kind of notebook you're using, what kind of paper it has in it. But you could equally have used the watercolour pencils that Tonic do, and maybe just not add water to them, just use them as coloured pencils. But I knew that alcohol pens were going to be on the show, so I wanted to definitely make use of them. Then I've done a title page. I just started planning out what July would have been, and so I did a title page. I just wrote July, and if you don't like your writing, obviously you can use alphabet stamps that you have, or alphabet dies as well, or whenever I'm trying to do a scripty writing and I want it to look really nice, you can try and Google like scripty cursive fonts, and they often come up with like a whole alphabet written out, and you could just practice that, you know, and try and get a kind of font that you like using. And I also drew it in pencil first, so all of the things in this I wrote out in pencil first because I didn't want to go wrong and then have to rip a page out. But then I went over it with the, what's it called, Urban Graphite? Yes, Urban Graphite glitter marker, because I know the glitter markers are going to be on the show as well, so I wanted to use them too. And then I just used that little Make It Happen, and I wrote 2019, because obviously July 2019. I did add a little doodle of my own, so don't think you have to just use the stamps. Looking at these stamps might inspire you to start adding some doodles in as well. And I always just draw a bumblebee, so I had to add my bumblebee in. And then I've done an arrow just to, you know, it's pointing to the next page. So then you open the page up, and this was one of the things I saw someone had done in a video, a monthly mood tracker, which I thought was really funny. And in her video she'd drawn different elements, but I thought, why not use all the different hearts that you get in the stamp sets, and then next to them I've just written the number for the day of the month, and then down the bottom you can use the little circle stamp that they have, and you can just write whatever emotions you feel the most and add a colour to it, so that you can colour in the heart for however you feel that day, which I thought was a really nice thing to do, actually, because you kind of forget when you're feeling happy and sad and everything. It just sort of merges into one, and the days go by so quickly. It might be quite nice to look sometimes, but yeah, so that was just that page. Then the next page is another thing I saw someone doing, a time capsule. So you have this at the beginning of the month, and you write down important things that happened that you maybe didn't know were going to happen before the month, but maybe like a really cool memory or something, like an old friend popped round or whatever. But I think this show is going to be on the 3rd of July, so I just put that in as an event. And this stamp here is actually one of the ones from this stamp set. I thought I'd just show how you can use these sort of line stamp sets that stamps that you get in the sets to create borders between things, or again you could have used the arrow to do that as well. And then I've just done like a page layout of like how you might lay out a week on 2 pages, and again with my heart system that I showed in the key in the front of the journal. So you just have it doesn't matter what colour you colour the hearts in, just so they look pretty and go with the colour scheme of the page. And then you can just write your task on there, and then when it's half finished you can colour half the heart in black, and when it's completely finished it can be all black, rather than like crossing it out. I know a lot of people like to cross things off, but it doesn't always look that pretty. If you want to keep your bullet journal looking really pretty, having a little system like that makes it, much quicker and, well, neater, really, more presentable. And then in the background, just to add some decoration, I've stamped the hearts in different oranges, yellows, reds inks, and then I did just use the watercolour pencils in this case to add the lines coming down and adding wiggly lines and stuff, so it looks like a decoration. And for Saturday and Sunday, because you have less room, I just used 2 of those box stamps from the large set to add the little boxes for those, because you usually don't do quite as much on the weekends. And obviously you can stamp these hearts as you go. I just needed something planned out to sort of show the idea of how you use them, but you might not always be able to fit one thing on that line, or maybe you have 2 short things and you want to make use of the space, so you could add another heart over here and then carry that on. So like you can have all of these things sort of set up on your desk, and then as you're planning it out, if you do bullet journaling, I'm sure you know what I mean. But yeah, so I just planned out 1 page so you could show that. You could also do the entire month if you wanted to as well, and plan out the whole month and see that on a whole double page as well. There's loads of different things that you can do. I just wanted to get a few things in here just to show how you can use them. And like down the edge here, I just used some of the stamps just with coloured ink rather than colouring them in, just to add a subtle pattern down the side of a page. And again, you can do this in any planner or diary or like Filofax kind of a system. Whatever you use for your planning, you can just use them to make it look pretty. Yeah, so that is my attempt at a bullet journal, and just making it look pretty but also functional as well. Then I thought, well, when I do have a chance to actually write things down neatly and plan, I usually use like the pages that go in one of those Filofax type things. I got one from Paperchase, but I'd bought the refill pack for mine, but I got it in like April, so I didn't need the first few months, so I thought that's perfect. I can use them and stamp on them to show different ways of how you can use them. So for this one, I actually stamped that little scratchy box and the Mun Tu Wen The Fry Sat Sun little abbreviations into them and actually did it on stickers. So it already said Monday under there, but to make it bigger, sometimes I find this writing on these ones is a little small and you kind of don't notice when the next day started. But so I thought that's a cool thing to do. You could just use the I did actually draw them, but you could use the circle stamp and the numbers to add the numbers in for the days as well. I used the big boxes and added the things to do, so that's just sort of one layout that you could do with them. Or I did this one using these as embellishments. I just added an arrow underneath the date to sort of highlight it a bit more. And I know some people track how many glasses of water or how many litres of water a day, so I just thought that was a fun little one to add in there using those scribbly circles. So that's another sort of idea. Then again, this one's similar to the bullet journal idea of having the little hearts as your bullet points, and I did sort of hearts going up and down the page as well. And I also made these little stickers with the must remember that you can stick on anywhere as well, and I used that sort of scratchy rectangle just to highlight the already words and numbers that are already on the pages. And then I also did this one just to show how you can use really light inks to add some subtle patterning. You can use this circle as your key system for crossing off your tasks and things, and you can use the rose stamps and the little vines to create a cool pattern down your page. And also this one just happened to have Valentine's Day on there, so I just used loads of heart stamps around it. And again, if you have any Christmas stamps as well, or little triangles for Christmas trees, you could decorate your Christmas pages to go along with that theme as well. I just wanted to show that because that's one of the ways that I would probably, if I was going to use these in my planning, I would probably do this. Like, I mean, with the way I plan stuff, because my job is creating stuff all the time, my planning tends to be terrible because it's all just like trying to scribble down the ideas because there's too many in my head, trying to scribble them down quickly so it all looks really messy. But if I was still doing a job with chemistry and I didn't get that time to be creative, I think I would really love laying out all my things to do like this, because it gives you something really creative to focus on, even though you're planning stuff that you need to do, but you can make it look pretty. Then I thought, along the same theme of adding things into your system that you already use, how about making yourself some post-its or sticky notes? I just took a few off and actually peeled them apart from each other and stamped these little blocks onto them and then stuck them back together again. You know, so you can have a little block, stick that on, and it highlights it on your page for you more than just having a post-it note. You've got the little border around it. And again with the little rectangles too, I just did them on, I actually cut that down, it was a bigger post-it note, but you can get small ones like that as well. Then like say you were for setting up a bullet journal and stuff, if you'd rather have all of your numbers as stickers, you could do it this way as well. And these were just sticker sheets that I got in Tesco's. I did have some circle ones, but they had too much of a slick coating on them and I couldn't get any ink to actually dry on them, which was really annoying because I really wanted to use them as numbers. But you can just stamp them on these kind of labels and then cut them out. So for these ones where I did hearts and the little must remembers, I actually did it on a sheet like this. I've got the bits and pieces here, and then I just cut them out and then stuck them on the backing of another one of the label sheets, so you actually have your little heart stickers all ready to stick onto your pages to like notify yourself of something you really need to get done or whatever. And so with the numbers you can obviously just cut around them, and you could do the same thing with them as well if you want to. I just thought that was a cool thing to show, you know, how you can make more use of them if you'd rather not stamp straight into something. Maybe your planner's got really thin paper and you don't want to stamp onto it because it will bleed through to the other side. You could do it this way and just cut them out and use them as stickers. Then I've got two art journal layouts that I did. So this one is on watercolour paper, and I did the I have on my Facebook page, I've got Crafting is the Best Medicine, which is one of the art journal pages I did a while ago. But for this one, I've changed it to Crafting is the Best Tonic, because it's obviously tonic products. And I thought that circle, like I said before, looks like the tonic logo. So I just made it the O of the word tonic. And I used Aquaflows in the background. Then for these dark green vines, I don't know if you can see. You can see they're sparkly, and then there's some scribbly flowers that are sparkly as well, stamped on it. You can actually stamp with your glitter markers. I have a video, I'm pretty sure I showed how to do that in my video, but all you do is you literally just take the pen and colour onto your stamp and then stamp it down, and it like gives you a really crisp look, especially with these stamps because they're the high quality photopolymer, so they really hold on to that ink nicely. So I was doing a bit of that in the background. I splashed on some ink, I did some stamping in black, and I used either glitter markers or Aquaflows to colour them in as well. And then for the writing I just wrote that myself, but again, you know, go on to Google and find a cursive font that you like and have a go at doing it yourself, or use stickers or stamps or die cuts, anything that you have if you want to do your art journaling. And again, obviously you would probably do this into your journal, but you know, because it's just going to be a sample shown on the telly, I don't really want to send my whole art journal, so I've just done this is sort of an 8x8 size, and then I've also done an A5 one that was using ink blending in the background. Here's that bit where I said I used the arrow to create a kind of circular element. I really love this scribbly circle stamp, and I've just added some of the hearts in and done it up here as well. I've used the Make It Happen in the background, and then I've created a whole focal element with the flowers, and I actually drew the stems of the flowers myself and continued, like here I mimicked this and drew it that way, so I had one going the other way. So like when you have, I don't know, these stamps just made me really want to doodle in the same style, so you know, really think about that, and it's really easy to mimic the style of them as well. It's a really easy style to draw yourself, which is nice. So you can just add to your stamped patterns as well as you see fit. You might need a stalk on something or whatever. And then again, I just coloured that with my alcohol pens and used a bit of white gel pen on it as well. And that's one of the, from the Floral Affections die sets from Tonic. Today is the Day is one of the ones out of that. And then I used the Make It Happen to finish off the quote as well. And then finally, oh, I did film this one actually. Yeah, I have a video of this. I filmed these two together, so I wanted to make some cards with them, obviously, because, you know, they're gorgeous stamps. You might as well make a few cards. So this one was using the little scribbly roses that are in the sets, and I just drew on some thin lines and some leaves to finish off the roses as well, otherwise they'd be floating in the air. But it works really nicely just to build up a really clean and simple card with a little bit of ink blending and then just colouring with the alcohol pens and a few of the Nuvo gems on there. And then finally I did this one where I just stamped out all the flowers, had fun colouring them in, and then just cut around them and layered them up into an like a focal element on the card. And here you can actually use the hearts to create a little like butterfly or dragonfly. I did that on one of the journal pages as well. I didn't show you that. I did it on this with 3 different styles of the hearts as well. These ones I made dragonflies, and then this one I gave it a shorter body so it makes it more of a butterfly. Yeah, so that was that card as well. So I hope you enjoyed this up close look at the new stamps from Tonic. I'm pretty sure, well, I'm not really sure exactly what they're called, but I know they're sort of marketed as bullet journaling stamps. But I'm sure I'll title the video of what they're actually called when they come out. But yeah, I just wanted to show you these bits and pieces because I haven't filmed most of them. I just thought I'd show you some different ways of how to use these gorgeous new stamps as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye!